And welcome back, challengers from all over the world. We are back here with more AOV World Cup Bootcamp action here. My name is Contra, and here with me is Fatal 5-Way. We just saw some intense series of battles here, and Thailand came up on top versus TPE. So we're going into the following matchup here between the Garuda Indonesia against Team Europe.
Absolutely, this is going to be super exciting. I'd love to see what Europe is actually going to bring to the table here. I'm betting that Indonesia are going to be prepared themselves, but as we've seen, the foreign countries have actually been bringing very sharp strategies, and they kind of have a good grasp of the meta. And I wouldn't be too surprised if a lot of teams are actually taking a lot of inspiration from them.
Definitely, and of course, I do believe that Team Europe has a whole ton of experience coming into multiple tournaments all over the world, but we gotta hit into directly into match number one between both of these teams here, with Omen being banned now as the first ban from the side of Europe. And it looks like we do have Grizzly, Shurko, Violet, Res, and Simjo over on the EU side.
Absolutely, and this is going to be an interesting game here. We've already seen Timmy being banned out. Omen also 100%, Omen has been overall just 100% banned overall. Just nobody is able to play him at all. Same as Superman, but I think the red side, they're going to possibly just leave it so that the red side bans it out. If not, they pick it up for themselves. EU know what they're doing. Malik going to be the first ban, for Indonesia. No surprise there. Malik, super utility, really great warrior, very versatile, and very good at what he does.
Yes, and of course, Teamy is really good support coming into the meta here. A lot of them have been adapted to what Teamy has in store, as well as Zaniel here. I think it's kind of like a no-brainer, but is it worth it though, taking two global elements away? Only from the side of Indonesia, because there are other parties such as the Superman, or will this be the Superman?
No, please don't let it go through. I mean, they have to ban it out at this point. Because they do, I mean, EU has the first pick here, so they're easily going to pick it up for themselves.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to see the light of day.
Never, ever see the light of day.
He's not going to get any kryptonite, but he's just going to get axed every single time. So let's move into the first pick right now. Lubu's going to be a pretty good pick coming in from Europe here. So Grizzly may just lock in this one, or they might get other party picks such as Tulin. We see it a lot so far throughout the day. A lot of teams, both from the east and the west, they do love a little bit of that thunder action coming in from the mage.
Absolutely, I think Talon is definitely an easy to pick up champion. Really great to play, and does so much as a mage. He just split pushes, able to dish out a lot of damage, just everything you want on a mage for this particular meta. And I think that's going to be maybe going to be the pick here. We don't know what Indonesian meta is like, how they see. I think overall the main issue is how everybody sees marksman, and everybody sees marksman slightly differently. And I think that's where the variation comes in. But Wonder Woman might be the first pick of the day, and it's going to be Alice and Wonder Woman.
Well, this is a really defensive pickup here from the side of Indonesia. So the Garuda squad possibly don't want to reveal their trump card as about yet.
Yeah,
but
I definitely love it. These are like really good supporting picks.
yeah, and you can see that EU is really trying to draft out something here, taking their time just to make sure that they get everything right. They've already gotten that Lubu here, perhaps something that could like boost him or even give him a little bit of room to work around with his kit. That would be good as they look forward to getting that max, the one-of-a-kind. May just be the perfect option when you talk about it, as he could just go in with the smooth moves and eventually just be in the center of fights, and if anyone tries to escape, just lift off and try to assassinate people from there onwards. And we talked about Tulin, no surprise there, it's gonna go over to the side of EU.
Yeah, and it's a give and take. You're always trying to give as much as trying to take as much as possible while giving a little in return here. So we're just gonna see how they're gonna play this out, because now that kind of makes the next couple of picks really interesting here, because they're gonna be giving up a lot if they don't get any priority picks right now. And I think this is where Indonesia wants to be. They want to get as many priority picks, but it's kind of what options do you have left? I mean, right now it's kind of looking for a mage. You've already got your support, but now you're just lacking a DPS, and that kind of forces you onto a marksman like a Joker or even Violet, or maybe even Lindis we've seen. But Zeph is going to be the first hover over, and Ryoma as well.
Ryoma, I think a Ryoma pick is really interesting. It can go toe-to-toe with either the Lubu or even Max to begin with, so it's a decent matchup with Ahmed picking that up from his team members here, but that's a lot of front line coming in from the side of Indonesia, they possibly need someone that's a little bit bursty, since Alice can still give them that sort of protection as well. So Violet here, what do you think about Violet? I mean, we've seen a couple of Violets throughout the day, not that successful. Do you think the side of EU could actually pull things off different?
Maybe they might have a different perspective of what the marksman is, and I think that's where the flavor comes in for each of these teams, because overall they know what's strong. Warriors are definitely good. Mages, they have a certain few picks. It does kind of roll down to how they want to play their marksmen, like Lindis, well, the big three, Lindis, Violet, and Joker as well. I think those are the really big picks that we've seen constantly, or multiple times, again and again and again, and how they decide to use them, either throwing them into the jungle. Throwing them into the jungle is an effective strategy, but also being able to like have them you know, just go around and just roaming in general, like the Joker, having a lot of mobility that way.
Speaking
really
of mobility,
opens it up.
Looks like we're gonna have the Flash coming into play, and Hans just pass it over to Ahmed. So most likely we might see another Flash mid lane where he somewhat excels best, because he can still roam around efficiently.
Yeah.
With his first skill, he can just dash front and back and just deal a little bit of that quick damage alongside with his Mach Punch. So both sides here. What do you think about the EU composition as compared to the Indonesian spot?
I think EU is looking very standard, very normal, but the Ormar pick, rather interesting. I think they wanted to beef up their DPS a little bit more to at least be able to stand toe-to-toe against what Indonesia have, because Indonesia, as of right now, have just the big boy comp. They just want to run around and fight people. I mean, look at that. They don't even need a marksman. They literally just want to, Alice, you're going to back us up. We're all going to fight. That's all we're going to do.
Yeah, and you can see that the logo is, of course, like a knight in shiny armor. Perhaps, like, they're just going ham on like the real warrior that they are, and it's just go in the I want to smash. So
absolutely, and this is going to be an interesting game, because both sides, I'm expecting them to invade, I'm expecting them to be looking for picks. The first 3 minutes of this game is going to be the most important, because that's going to determine how the mid game goes. I think late game, we all know how it's going to roll out, but I think the most important is when it comes to this early game, because both team compositions, the moment they get an advantage, their mid game is basically secured.
Yes, and I'm really hoping to see Indonesia pull something special here as one of the prides of Southeast Asia. We're moving into game one. It's Europe versus Indonesia.
Now, both sides quickly pushing in. It looks like they might be going for the invade of the Mike buff here, but they're actually going to catch him out. Grizzly is kind of in an awkward position here.
Oh, that's a lot of burst damage coming in. Charlotte gets the first kill over on the Max here. And a beautiful double knockup there coming from Lubu.
Oh,
they are still chasing them down, but Mumoy, he is surviving, and that's the first blood going over on this side. Oh, no!
1-for-1 trade!
Oh, unfortunately, Violet actually gets the kill back over on the side of EU, so that's an equalizer coming in for the side of EU.
Absolutely, and I think this is kind of on Hans here, who responded late, because Max was already on his way. The moment the fight actually begun, he made it in time to actually make a significant difference in that fight. It would have been so different had Riona matched much sooner, and now with such a huge life deficit, Riona is put on the back foot.
Yes, definitely, and EU Violet possibly is a Violet main himself.
Oh, I wonder what gave that away.
Well, I wonder why, but let's look at the top lane here. Team members there. Looks like Han's going to set up a kill over on there and possibly get the second kill.
Wait!
But instead, Grizzly
gonna live!
Turn around! Oh my goodness! But Charlotte will make sure that he will not live any longer. And that's 3 members over on the bottom side of the map on EU, securing a little bit of vision control, and might just get that small advantage into securing the first Abyssal Dragon. Oh my goodness, I think it's an explosive start coming in.
Absolutely, and I think
both teams.
They need to respect. They absolutely need to respect Max here, because he gets a shield on his passive gives him a shield, which is so effective in these situations. Oh, but you might actually get caught out here. Yes, Indonesia getting ready to actually collapse on them, and it looks like they're in position to actually go for this, and yes, they do. Here they go. The full fight out has begun.
And the flank comes right in. Alma gets a kill over on Shukro, shutting that Tulin down, as well as getting it, stealing away from the hands of EU, and they just smash them down with 2 to 3 kills, breaking it up, and also getting that Abyssal Dragon. That's a hugely going over onto the Garuda side. Looks like they're not over yet. Beautiful stun coming in over onto Grizzly.
He needs
Can
the
he
passive.
get
He
the
needs
kill?
the passive. Oh!
Oh, so close.
He does not get his passive up, but Ahmed, he's getting ready to actually go in on this. Doesn't decide to go, but Sim is right behind him. Sim is actually going to go for this. Is he going to go for the ult? He decides not to. Backs away. Notices that the map is kind of empty. The rest of his team, the rest of Garuda's team might actually be collapsing in, but it guess not.
And looks like Violet still a little bit close here. She knows that she needs to get a little bit more items up. As much as some of these members are dropping from the left to the right, it seems like they just need to be a little bit more composed. They're going in for the Might Golem right now, as Rez is prepared for another flank there. He jumps right through, but then again, who will be the next to fall? Looks like Simjo gets caught out there. They manage to dive away back into the safety of their turrets there, but they do lose the Might buff there. Goes in with the left knob there. Max still chasing over onto Weera, and Weera is still alive right now. They're diving in. Max gets the kill over on that Zephyr's, and they're chasing over onto Charlotte as she takes a turret shot, unfortunately, and Charlotte will fall over onto the hands of EU. Kill going over on the side of Wonder Woman.
What a beautiful counter gank coming in from the EU side, but Indonesia really making plays here really efficiently as well, but I think it's kind of on Hans. He should have been pushing the wave much sooner, realizing that he can't get in time, but it's really unfortunate here. I don't know whether Hans is just not being aware or just not realizing the current situation of his team, or whether it's down to communication. It's kind of interesting to see how this is playing out, because Hans, this is the second time Hans has actually dropped the ball here. He could have noticed that the fight was already over at that point in time, so he could have easily just pushed the wave. But instead, he was making his way down and going for something else. I'm not sure if he was trying to get the Spirit Sentinel or something, or what exactly he was doing, but it kind of feels like he was just being inefficient with the amount of time he was given.
I do agree with you there, and also we do have to commend them on their effort on to securing some of these big objectives, such as the Whistle Dragon. They got that shot calling pretty well there, and they position in such a way that they can catch out a couple of members from the side of EU. And speaking of catching people out, they're going in for that Might Weapon again. Just snatches it through the wall, and there's just no way that EU can secure that one.
That's so dirty.
That's just disgusting.
Yeah, what can you do to that? There's no counterplay. There's absolutely no counterplay to that. Just having your lasso truth come up. Oh, actually, they are going to go for the aggressive play here.
That's a little bit of overextension going in for Weera, but he'll be able to still walk away unscathed, and they will go in with that Sage Golem still once more. They're raiding everything as they go, but can they actually do it without getting into trouble here? Because Simjo is kind of prepared if Weera is to dive over. Oh, looks like he's got
stepped out of the bush.
Oh,
he just slightly stepped out of the bush and didn't realize it. But Weera here into this bang, trying to actually get some kind of holy going for themselves. Kind of difficult here, but we've seen how he was played just now. Looks like they might want to go for a punish first before they even consider going to the Abyss in the Dragon.
I just see a big fight coming in. The flash goes in over on that Violet. Looks like Lubu wants to get a catch over onto Wonder Woman, but Charlotte's in trouble. Looks like Simjo is spinning all the way, trying to catch over onto the flash, but he has the cycle. He pops it right through. Simjo dropping low into 20% health. Grizzly chasing over after Afma. They're just running all over the place now, but Dylan just to snipe away that Wonder Woman with the Thunderbird as they try to focus down the bottom lane turn there. They're still diving right in. Oh my goodness, as they trade turret for turret there. Hans securing one over on top lane, as well as EU now giving a lot of focus for our bot, getting an Abyss Dragon as well.
And this should technically even out the score a little bit more. So now it's 14 to 14k, 15k to 14k actually. They've actually developed some kind of small lead here onto the side of Indonesia. But now that they're just take their time to see what they want to do. They've traded towers, and now the big objective is trying to break that mid turn. I think that's going to be the focal point. That needs to be the focal point here, so they at least unlock the map a little bit more.
I do agree with you there, as well as just looking at the top lane here, they're giving a lot of priority over onto shutting down that Ryoma over on the top lane, because if you let him free farm, he's just going to be a beast later on. And look at that boss punch coming in from the flash, dashes out of the fight itself. And Charlotte's just playing a little bit more offensively. Looks like Weera tries to get the catch, but he won't be able to leap over onto that Lubu. Zephys now, I think the Zephys is really setting up pretty well for the side of Indonesia as they dive right in, catches Lubu out of that fight itself. Simjo kind of in the middle of three members of Indonesia as Zephys gets a kill over onto Oma.
Just look at how aggressive they are. They know how to tower dive. They know how to go hard here. But Grizzly actually going in, trying to actually peel somebody off, but he's just going to be going down, giving his own life. The rest of their team trying to actually go in. Talon isn't able to get the angle to actually get the Thunderbird off and get another kill for themselves, giving another kill over to Indonesia. This is secured their advancement to breaking that mid turret, and now they've given up so much. EU have given up quite a lot of ground over to Indonesia.
Honestly, that looked pretty messy because Max went in alone, and you could clearly see that the Talon was just next to him, and he's like, "Hey, man, I don't want to commit to this." And Max is like, "Bro, could you like help me out here?"
I think he was just a little too far. The way he was
Yeah.
kiting and the speed of which everybody else was just breaking apart, it was just a little too much.
Yeah, I think that the Max has overcommitted in that fight itself as much as he saw opportunity, but Shuriko does know for the fact that if he goes anywhere near those four members of Indonesia, they will immediately glide over onto the Talon before anything else happens and possibly just go down as well. So
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I have to agree, but the only problem is that the only way he can gap close is if he blinks forward, and I think that would secure his death.
oh, that might be a big fight coming in, but looks like they will back away. Alpha just doing a little bit more poke over onto Simjo before anything else as they try to get the Abyssal Dragon over on their heads. But before that, setting up that Death Rush is a pretty brilliant idea, but looks like another side of EU will fall for that as Rez gets a little bit of vision done, but looks like he is being left all the way over on the first turret over on the bot lane here, so he has to be careful for the time being.
I mean, we all know what happens here. They're going to start the fight and then completely forget about Max, and Max is just going to lift off into the fight.
Yes, definitely. He does have the ability to just dash over onto any targets that he wished, so that's a semi-global limit, I would say. But looks like Rez gets caught up there with that stun coming in, but Simjo is a little bit off position. Liftoff comes up, trying to get over onto that Alice there, zoning all his members away.
The damage from Weira!
And you can see Rez is falling really low as they take down the Omar as well. Oh, this does not look good at all for the side of EU. But Indonesia now just crashing right in. That's a really big team fight handed over onto the hands of Indonesia.
Ahmed and Weira both in the back line, catching out so many people and chunking them out even before the fight began. That's just really unfortunate for the side of EU, as they're going to be losing so much here, and the high ground turrets are in their grasps.
And it's just really unfortunate that they went into deep, and they're already set backs for quite some time now, and they're going in for all the wrong fights. They shouldn't have done so. Now they're just getting pushed all the way back into defending the high ground and possibly just give up this Dark Slayer over onto the hands of Indonesia. The Garuda side, they just look pretty phenomenal right now for the first matchup. So what do you think they can work on from the side of EU?
I think they definitely need to choose their fights a lot better. They need to really decide who, what the focal point is. Who they need to identify what's the problem from Indonesia, and how do they keep themselves alive? Because a lot of the time that they decide to go in, their front lines go in a little too far to their back line. If they trade front line for back line, I mean, Indonesia has such a big upper hand in comparison to what EU's draft is so far. But I think what Indonesia are doing are really good. They want to trade. They want to allow them to have to trade, give them the opportunity to actually let them go in on their backline, because they know that their backline is actually rather safe compared to their front line. So it's kind of like trading favorably for Indonesia every single time.
Yeah, I do agree with you. And if we see how they just let go of that tier 2 turret over on the bottom lane, they need to try to defend the core right now, as all these members are slowly clearing the minions from the mid wave here. And I don't know, perhaps like they could actually funnel a little bit more resources over on Shuriko early in the game. They might stand a chance, but Weira is diving right into Shuriko. Speaking of it, as Cyclone being channeled out over from the side of the Flash, they just melt down all these members from the side of EU, taking down that last turret there, and immediately over onto Rez as they will try to take down the core, and the game one will be given over onto the side of Indonesia.
Man, their wombo combos are so clean. So clean. Flash always gets to the point that he needs to be. He judges his distance almost perfectly to get that cyclone going and just vacuum people right into the center. Man, it has happened 3 times over the fight, and he has absolutely nailed it 3 times in a row.
Sick moves coming in from all these members. They commit to a fight 100% from each members, and it just worked out so well for them. Now, they look really tense from the side of EU, knowing for the fact that, hey, we've gone through so many of these tournaments, and now one defeat. I think perhaps they just need a little bit of warm-up to see what Indonesia has in store, but definitely Ahmed is the man of the match. Looking at the KDA, 18.8. This is a perfect score coming in for the Flash.
Yeah, it's just Ahmed and Weera, because Weera gets death from above, and he nails it. And the moment he does, Ahmed and Hannes just go straight into these fights so well. And Mummy just has to make sure that Alice is in a position where she survives, so she needs to stay in front of Alice all the time. And the way they coordinated their team is just so well played. It's honestly amazing how quickly that these guys have adapted and played so well in such a short period of time.
And when we look into the damage scores there, I think that the Oman was slightly underwhelming, as he is, after all, the lowest level member from the side of EU, being shut down from the early game onwards. So it's really hard when you're an Oman being starved out there. You need all these armor as well as health items to actually scale. So I think that the EU side may shake things up a little to be a little bit more early game aggro oriented. What do you think?
I definitely feel like they really need to relook at their strategy. Let's actually look at a couple of replays, and I think maybe it'll show you a little bit more here, because here is where you kind of made a slight fumble where they've already lost the member and they're still trying to contest with the Abyssal Dragon here. They didn't have the best positioning whatsoever, but they do understand that they can go for these counter plays, counter ganks, and you can see from across the map the liftoff actually coming in onto Weera. Grizzly is just going to push his way into the fight and actually try and go and pick somebody off, and it brings up the question here whether or not you are kind of just playing for fun, because some of these plays are kind of questionable.
Well, you can say it's still somewhat of a tryout kind of moment for their side, because after all, it's a boot camp. Everything here is for training and just a test of strength coming in for each of these regions. But I think that the Max was playing a really aggressive game, and it seems like there's just lack of follow-up in from
just a different idea of what's going on in these many particular situations where Grizzly is coming in as hard as he can on his max, and just the rest of his team either just not being able to follow up or just unable to really back them up in these situations. And I think they kind of need to be on point for that, whether they want to fully commit to this fight or if not, just at least protect the tower. And I think after 2 times that happened, Ryoma got the idea of like, I don't even need to be in this fight, I just need to push.
Yes, and of course, they need to fix some of these errors into game 1 if they want to come back into the fight. We saw a lot of reverse sweeps today, so can EU pull off that upset once again?
I definitely feel like they can.
They are quite a powerhouse coming in from the western region here, and of course, who would have thought like Indonesia would just go in so strong in game 1? But we will go into game 2 to find out the following picks and bans of match number 2.
Now, Indonesia on blue side with Europe going to be on the red side. Therefore, Indonesia is going to have first pick here, and that's going to be a really big deal. I mean, you can, Superman's probably always going to be banned anyway, so they're probably going to be looking for something like the Malik or maybe even the Lubu to open up some avenues for them.
Well, yeah, they did ban out the Zaniel and Malik in the first round itself, so we might see something similar. What worked for the first round possibly can work for the second time, so of course, Superman, who else would you not ban? So
absolutely. Like, everybody understands that Superman is a little too much. Just no.
But
no.
After all, it's the Man of Steel. Even in the DC universe, he is somewhat the strongest hero available in the universe.
Available.
Uh, or in this case, unavailable.
Yeah.
So,
Oh boy. But yeah, looking at what it looks like they're going to play the same sort of round. Blue side usually gets rid of Teamy, Teamy, and also usually Malik or maybe Boo. That's kind of appropriate. But there's always that one pick that it's highly team dependent where it's like I just don't like handling this pick at all. And it looks like EU doesn't look like they like having to deal with her at all. Like she's been banned out on the second ban twice already.
yes, I do agree with you there. Or do they get baited into a Violet ban over on it?
Maybe.
I don't think it's worth it, but who knows? You might actually have something up their sleeve, so they will take out that Zaniel there. But I wish they actually leave it open because they're over on that blue side. They can pull off that global ultimate comp there. So we just have to see. I think that it's going to be about the same. So perhaps they might get maybe the addition of Tulin to actually change things up a little bit, or will they secure the flash for Ahmed?
Yeah, and Omen going to be the final ban of the red side. What's the first pick going to be? Lubu is still up, and I would like to see Lubu for Indonesia because he is just so good at what he does. So Lubu, he was probably going to pick up Alice in return, maybe? Alice Tullen, maybe?
I would prefer a first pick Alice for Charlotte once more.
But then that leaves Lubu. So this is the kind of this is the awkward position that they're in. It looks like they're Wukong is going to be the priority pick here. Wow.
Oh, the trickster is now coming in.
But that gives away both Lubu. That gives away both Lubu and Alice for that side. They're going to be. It looks like EU does have their own idea of playing it. They're locking in the Warriors first. They're getting both Lubu and also Wonder Woman. This opens up so much more for Indonesia right now. They could pick up the Talon for themselves. They could pick up Alice. And Alice is going to be the first pick up here for themselves. But do they want to lock in that Talon? It's kind of that. Now it's a very awkward position because that's a lot of DPS already.
Yes, I agree with you there. And this is a pretty sticky situation. You can see that the coach is having a hard time now. They still have 30 seconds left. They still can't consider other options yet. But I don't think that they'll let that out slip away. It worked really well. Gels every member together, and of course the ultimate is always useful coming in from that support. So 10 more seconds before they make any decisions. Whoa, looks like we will have, of course, the Clown, Prince of Crime, coming in with the Joker.
Yeah, with the Joker on their side, that's plenty of DPS from the side of Indonesia. I don't even think they need any more than that. At this point, they just need to fill up their slots with tanks and initiators because they're going to have to somehow deal with Wonder Woman here.
Yeah, not only Wonder Woman, you need to see how they could actually... Trixie?
Oh, it's not going to be fun.
I think it's a really interesting option if they actually go for that, but of course, I mean, Liliana is still way more efficient.
Yeah, I mean, if they get Crixie, it's a dead giveaway. This is a 5v5 team comp, but then the question comes like, why don't you get Crash as well? And then a lot of questions come to your mind like, there's a lot of other picks that would have been good Crixie. So Liliana's going to be the pick of choice as well as Zephyrus. And that's going to be really great because now their team composition is really looking all-rounder very well. They can fight, they've got the damage, they've got a niche, they can wave clear. I mean, maybe they didn't want to get the Talon for themselves. The Talon for themselves wasn't really working out. Maybe he is a little bit more comfortable on the road.
Perhaps so. And looks like EU somewhat have this sort of similar composition as to what the Indonesian squad had in Game 1. So taking some of the main picks, but still leaving that flash open for Ahmed. I think this is going to be going pretty good for Ahmed, but we got to see how some of these changes will affect them. So instead, he opts to look at the Tulin instead. So I guess Kilgraf, why not? I feel Kilgraf is still a really good 1v1 duelist here. So
I mean, if you wanted anybody to deal with Lubu, I think Kilgraf almost takes the cake on this one. Like he really can go toe-to-toe against Lubu, who is just an absolute monster.
And I think that a 1v1 coming from Zephyrus along with Kilgraf would be really, really interesting to watch as well.
Yeah.
So,
But honestly, this does come up with a question like, are they going to make Joker just roam around? Get Joker to roam around with Wukong in the jungle maybe, or is it going to be the Kilgrave jungle, or is it going to be the top lane and then use the jungle as a second source of income? Because in most situations, when you have a Kilgrave, you just kind of want to build up gold here, and then eventually just take the game away. But EU now locking in with their final picks, they have Lombard.
Lombard, you're giving them a little bit of a safety net. Of course, you see a lot of divers coming in from the side of EU, but on the other hand, it seems to me that Indonesia looks a tad squishy if they don't get enough farm. So that may be worrisome from the side, but if they get that early snowball, if they get that big lead from fights, perhaps over onto big objectives like Abyssal Dragon, of course, once they get those sort of leads, they are going to just hit like a truck right now. So both teams here have a really different game plan. So
Absolutely.
If we look at EU, they can definitely dive in without a problem. So from the side of Indonesia, I really want to see how they are going to execute this composition that they have along with that Wukong pick.
I mean, it's very clear what Indonesia want to do. They want to go in, burst, and get talent to clean up the rest. I think that's the main strategy here. They have everybody to back them up. They want Alice to buy some time, a good second and a half for Wukong to get it right into the team comp. He's going to start him off. Alice is going to bring him, come in immediately to buy at least a second for the rest of the team to actually get into position and force EU to back off. But EU, on the other hand, if Lombard is able to get his ultimate off in time, he's able to slow down the entire team and the entire terrain if he positions his ult really well. So I think that's kind of the big picture here. If it's kind of highly dependent on how Lombard plays. If he's able to block off some damage or at least slow down the assault, that gives EU so much time to retaliate.
Oh, looks like Kilgrave will be spotted out there by the Wonder Woman as Simjo is trying to rotate to actually try to scout out over onto the enemy territories there. Of course, there's not going to be any invades at the time being, but Tulin's in a little bit of a sticky situation by himself over on the mid lane, getting chunked down to the last bar of health there. But Ahmed, oh, he's really got to be careful there because the Lombard is still camping over in the mid lane.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
The lasso of truth under that turret? Is he sure?
Interesting.
Well,
they are dedicating their resources here. Charlotte just hit his level 2, while Weira is kind of in this place where he needs to hit his level 4 and then make a play almost immediately, because Wukong really strives, really goes well in the early game where he has a lot of damage, a lot of like unsuspecting damage. Most people forget what his passive does, which keeps him extra empowered, which really just empowers his basic attack, which gives him so much damage.
Yes, and of course we do see an invade coming in. Grizzly tries to get a kill over onto
Hunt.
Wow,
the sidestep.
Oh, the lasso miss. Just that small little inch there coming in, or else the Wonder Woman might just get the first kill for the side of EU. But speaking of kills there, looks like we're not going to see one for the time being, but we will see objectives being taken down. EU with the focus off Abyssal Dragon there. Well, meanwhile, we do have Spirit Sentinel handed over on the side of Indonesia.
Rather interesting that they should have kind of suspected where the Abyssal Dragon was actually going to be thinking here, but
oh, that's going to be a 2v2 coming in. Rest dives over onto Ahmed as Violet joins into the fray. Gets Weira knocked up there as he tries to run away. Oh my goodness, as Zephys gets the first blood over on the hands of Violet, as Ahmed still trying to run away for his life. They will get that Spider taken away, and oh, Charlotte actually managed to steal that back. So that's a really good job from the side of Indonesia, as Sage Golem is still being contested from both ends here, but Violet will secure that one sneakily.
With an easy punish, no problems. But it's kind of interesting. EU is just picking apart Indonesia here. They understand who they need to focus on. They need to focus on Weira, and they also need to focus on Hans, making sure that Hans doesn't get too far ahead. Because if Hans is behind, he can't really split solo push and just split into the lanes here. Because as you can see here, he's a decent duelist, and he's going up against Wonder Woman out of all people here, and he's still going even. So imagine if he had an insane lead. That becomes very difficult in general, because we know that Wonder Woman is the duelist that you want on your team if you want somebody who can support and also dish out a decent amount of damage while being very, very tanky.
And of course, you do see a lot of members from the side of Indonesia all grouped up over on bot lane. Both teams playing relatively safely, not taking any risky moves. And I love the coordination and the teamwork from both ends. As they group up every single time they sense a sort of danger coming in from both of these teams, as there is a setup coming in from the Lumbar once more. Oh, will Charlotte actually be caught up right there? Looks like they do initiate the fight over onto Shurko, getting a little bit of a damage done there from the side of Tulin.
Yeah, both sides just playing really carefully, really safe, trying to make sure that they don't get into a position where they give up too big of a lead. Because I think right now, it's whoever has the bigger lead, even if it's a small one, can actually take this game pretty far ahead.
And it seems to me that they really want to slowly scale for the side of Indonesia, as you see a lot of protection is being given over onto Hans. Every now and then you see the Charlotte rotating from the mid lane and the bot lane, and just to make sure that everything is going according to the plan. When Killgraph can get some of these items up, they can slowly go in for the bigger fights, but Grizzly is just zoning off Charlotte completely. Hans just trying to do a little bit of contest here, but Abyssal Dragon will most likely fall over on the hands of EU once again, and they're still not really fully committed onto taking this Abyssal Dragon. It might just be a bait, but Hans dives right in. Violet makes sure that they get the dragon, but they will get Hans as well. Beautiful engages over onto the back line there, but looks like Simjo will shut down that kill graph as they chase over onto that Alice, deploying Sich minions, but Charlotte will be the main target there. Did they fall or not? We will have to find out. Apologies there. We do have a little bit of technical issues there, but looks like we do have 2 kills over on the side of EU.
I think the biggest mistake Indonesia made there was Charlotte just using the hissy fit way too early, and now she doesn't have it. It doesn't have it, and now when they want to actually go, when they have Killgrowth who can actually sustain most of the damage, especially when everybody's grouped up in the pit, when he starts cleaving people with the ultimate and has maximum stacks of Fnatic, he becomes pretty insane to deal with, and nobody can really deal with him overall. But then he doesn't have the hissy fit to really buy him enough time to really make the difference here, and I think that's what they needed. They needed the hissy fit from Charlotte, and Charlotte just used it way too early, and they just decided try and make a desperate play here.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. Looks like the unpredictable Fox dives right in, trying to get Ahmad here. Will he survive? No is the answer, as the Lumbar shuts him down, as well as getting a lot of damage done over onto some of these members. But Shurko here, getting stunned up by that Charlotte. So they will disengage and focus over on the bot lane here. Of course, it's gonna blow up in the matter of seconds if they only have that mid wave. Unfortunately, they don't, so they're just going to rotate back over onto the mid lane once more.
And a kill trade on top side between both Joker and Lubu. Really unfortunate there. Maybe. Oh boy, but Hans is actually trying to sustain himself.
Can he actually do a 1v2 here?
I mean, he can, but he won't win it, that's for sure. But it looks like they are going to be pushing towards the big objective here, trying to get that first turret down to open the map up a little bit more to actually make something happen. But the rest of the team is actually playing on the top side of the map, and they are securing a lot of camps, but they are just giving up so much pressure around the Abyssal Dragon.
But instead, they do have a little bit of party, giving over onto that Vixen there over on the mid lane, but looks like Hans goes in for a challenge, but he will falter over on the hands of Wonder Woman. Unfortunately, they do get the turret over on the mid lane taken down as they go in for a big fight right now, as Lubu gets a kill over onto that Wukong, smashing in onto that Charlotte as well, pulls her right back as Shurko gets the kill. Momoy will be the next one to fall as Rest survives out of that mess as well. So right now we have 10 kills over onto EU with only 1 kill over onto Indonesia.
A lot of disrespect shown by Indonesia here. They're getting a little too overconfident with a lot of these fights where they're just thinking, oh, I can just give up an ultimate and it's going to be fine. No, it just does not work like that. It absolutely doesn't work like that, especially when you've already lost a member of 4v5 fight in hopes that you would actually do something, actually pull something off here. It's a little uncanny.
Definitely a little bit uncanny, and they did not respect the enemies a little bit coming to some of these team fights here, because if you commit into this fight as well as having given away 3 Abyssal Dragons, you should know what to expect, because they have better items to actually fight against the Indonesian squad here. So they do do wanting efficiently though is to rotate over on top lane as well as the mid lane as much as they are losing a
They're
couple of
giving up,
objectives.
but they are giving up Darkslayer for a tower, so it's like, is this really worth it?
Questionable, but still something that they can consider. But then again, Darkslayer given over on the side of Europe with all these members being funneled over on the bottom lane. This is technically free going over on the hands of Europe, and EU just playing so much of a better game as compared to game one. This is
Absolutely.
really clean coming in.
Yeah, it's very tactical the way they are playing. They're not playing based off punching. They're just playing off of sheer information and vision off of the map, and they really are excelling at it as the rest of the team. Indonesia is making a response here. Do they want to take the fight? Kilcroft is rotating towards the mid side of the map. Wonder Woman is nowhere to be seen. They could actually decide to go for this, but they set up an ambush. Waiting to go. Is Violet actually going to get picked off here? Oh. He isn't. Wait, they're holding back just a little bit more.
This could be a really good catch. What are they waiting for? Really questionable plays coming in from Indonesia, but then again, they just really want to play it really safe. But is that really the answer when you have a kill graph that's somewhat doing all this efficient split push, and now instead looks like EU is going to call the shots over on the top lane. They have the minion wave. They will take down yet another turret over on the side of EU now.
I think the indecisiveness of Indonesia is starting to show here, where they're trying to figure out what they want to do exactly, as EU is just methodically taking apart the towers each one at a time, so very slowly, using the uncertainty of what Indonesia has done already to make a huge advancement onto these towers. They've already taken out 3 towers single-handedly with no issues, and they're probably going to take a 3rd one as well, with Grizzly coming in back. Single-handedly, Wonder Woman has scared off 3 members off of their tower due to their sheer numbers, and they're going to push off to their highline tower. And Kilgrath is kind of this position where it's like, do I come back in to help my team, or do I start split pushing?
I'm just not too sure what's in their thought process right now, but they're just giving a lot of objectives technically for free every single time, and I'm glad that they managed to secure their high ground turrets as of now, because Kilgraph will try to attempt for a solo Abyssal Dragon, perhaps, but looks like the 3 members from the side of Europe will be coming in, so he might have to give this one away. So, really good lishing there coming in, as the Garuda will give this one away. 4th Dragon over on the hands of Europe. Dragon Slayers. That's what Knights do back in the days.
Absolutely. EU are just playing such a tactical game right now. It's beautiful to watch. They know they're pathing super efficiently. Wherever they path, they've always picked up gold on their way. They've picked up camps. They make sure they're looking for picks at the same time while adapting according to how Indonesia plays their game based on the information on the map. And I think this is what they needed. They needed a slower game that doesn't accelerate way too quickly and that falls out of their hands. And now they've got a 7K, 8K gold lead on their hands. They're going to be pushing on for 1 more tower.
But can they buy enough time though? They do have members now. Of course, Wukong is over in the mid lane, but Zephys will soon join the likes of Lubu as well as Lumbar. So he has to back away into the safety of his own jungle. Grizzly now trying to camp out for some of these members. But Violet goes in deep, trying to get Momoy. Does he get the kill? Looks like he won't just yet, as Rest gives him a little bit of room to breathe, alongside with the help of Wira as well. Charlotte, Scipio over on the front line. Lumbar trying to set something up over on the bottom lane. No min waves left. It's still quite slow coming in over on the bot lane here, so they might just want to look for something else.
I mean, EU has already dispersed, waiting for the waves. Ball wave is just so far away. They're just going to take their time with this. They're going to try and push Indonesia back into their base so they can't actually affect the waves too much. Mummy getting chunked out pretty hard here, but the rest of the teams might actually want to go in, consider going in here. Finally getting hit pretty hard, but Mummy needs to back off into his base and now goes back into the defenses. EU trying their best here to try and crack the bot tower. I
do applaud Hans for his ability to actually hold this turret by himself, trying to clear out that huge minion cannon clear, just hitting over on the bottom wave. So, well, they can still defend this for a couple more minutes.
Absolutely, and with Kilgraf, the thing about trying to dive him is that the more members, the better for him it is, because he just needs to clean multiple members to actually get his heal off, and he immediately gets his passive stacks up, his Fnatic passive to the max. So that's just highly beneficial in these, mainly when you try and dive him under tower with no minions.
Oh, this is going to be a 1v1 between Wonder Woman and Hans.
Just look at him.
And will she actually make it out? Oh, the lasso brings her close to Hans, and they might just go in for a collapse here over onto that Kilgraf. But will they want to commit though? Grizzly falling really low alongside with Hans. A beautiful shield coming in from Charlotte with the friendship, and looks like Wira will have to back away. Rest trying to catch him out from the back as the Wukong leaps away to safety, and there is enough minions for them to take down this bottom lane turret here. But Momoy, what are you doing all the way back there? He gets stunned up, but no one to actually finish him up from the side of EU. Oh,
Ooh,
pretty
really
unfortunate.
Very unfortunate as EU slowly pick apart Indonesia one by one, going for their towers so methodically, playing the fights in their favors every single time. They put quite a bit of damage onto the side of Indonesia.
As much as there are a lot of kills ahead coming in from the side of EU, they can't seem to close out the game just yet. That's a huge lead. Most of the time when the team gets all these leads blown out of proportion, they will just immediately crush over onto that core. So they can't really let Indonesia that much room to breathe for so long, and they do have the Dark Slayer available, so perhaps a Death Rush to actually bait out some of these Garudas, then close out the game.
Absolutely, they are looking forward to get the Dark Slayer, and I think that's kind of the important part here. Once you reach this point in the game where you're looking to break the Highland Towers, this is going to be the major focus. You're just trying your best to try and at least get. Oh wait, but Syndra is actually on the wrong side of the map, and the rest of the team's actually coming in. They've stopped the Abyssal Dragon. They might want to consider taking the fight here. And
they just reset the Dark Slayer once more, knowing that they can't really take too much risk there with some of these members being disarrayed with Wonder Woman over on the mid lane. They want to catch over onto Hans. Lasso Troop coming in as they will collapse over onto the Alice, taking her down, but she still heals and eventually gets taken down by the Zephyrus as Wirao will be zoned all the way off over on that top lane there. Wukong has to find a way to run as Ahmad there just gets chunked down as Tulens gets shut down here over onto his own base as three members from the side of EU will go into battle with Hans. But look at that last two. Look at the shield. He is still alive. Oh my goodness, what a monster this Kilgraf is.
Just Kilgraf stuff.
Balance, man, balance.
Yeah, isn't it great? Just goes 1v3 and still completely survives. No fear whatsoever in his eyes. I am Kilgraf! Kilgraf kills!
And I think that you really need to worry a lot about the Kilgraf. So, and the next objective that they could possibly take is the Abyssal Dragon if they don't want to finish off that Dark Slayer just yet. So we are just trying to look out for any possible attempts coming in from the side of EU. So I think as much as there is a goal discrepancy going over on the hands of EU, about 10,000 goal lead here, but everything seems to be pretty dead even at the time being because they can't seem to find a way to break through the high ground turrets as of yet. Just a little bit of poke over on the turret, but looks like Indonesia have plans in store for the side of EU.
At this point, you just need to split push. You need one person to be able to split push because Kilgraf needs to push the top side of the map if he wants to do anything for the Dark Slayer.
Are they actually committing to this as Hans gets focused over on the top lane here as they collide over onto the end of Valor? They're soaking way too much. He's backing away, and I think he somewhat regrets his decisions here, but we are lose for the fact that they are attempting the Dark Slayer right now. He's diving right in. Looks like there's still a lot of health left over on the Dark Slayer. He's in the middle of it all, and that's not what you want coming in as Zephyrus goes legendary as the Dark Slayer gets slayed away. Indonesia steals it off the bat, but will they actually make it out alive? With so many members, Hans trying to run away for his life, but all these EU members are chasing him down. There's only one being dropped from the side of EU, but Hans tries to run away. Oh, getting caught out right there. He has to fight it out. He still has the shield, and looks like Grizzly still wants his head off the table as they break over on the top lane high ground. They have all the minions. They will try to equalize and get the core instead. Beautiful plays coming in from Europe. Whoa, this is quite a show.
I mean, absolutely. I definitely feel like Indonesia highly disrespected EU there, and they got punished so hard. And just Europe, they played the slow game, they played super tactical, and they played extremely smart.
Yes, and I just like the fact that even when Indonesia is behind, they still know some of these win conditions of themselves because they know like, hey, perhaps we can buy some time for the kill graph. He can pull off something great here, but Wukong just went in pretty early over onto that Dark Slayer. Unfortunately, they still got the buff though, but none of these members actually make it out alive other than the kill graph. So it was vain effort, I would say.
Yeah, honestly, very interesting why the Wukong went in without his team. I think his team could have afforded to buy a little bit more time, but I think his priority was to get the Dark Slayer in general. So I think that was why he decided to go in a little bit earlier, because I do feel like they could have turned the fight up. They could have done a better job if they were able to time this a little bit better, but I think it might be asking a little bit too much to both steal and also be in a position where your team is like in that. And I think that was just a very clutch moment for Wukong there.
Yeah, I do agree with you there, and we just have to look into the results screen here, and of course, I think it's gonna be none other than Valor with the MVP. Just look at the KP, 88.2%, the highest that we see into the second game here between all these fights that we see over onto game 2.
Absolutely, and the biggest thing I have to say is just the way Lombard played. His ultimate was just so changing in these fights. Every single time he would alter an area to have such a major slow, it just slows down the assault on how fast you can like layer the amount of damage you have consistently. And I think that was just a huge part. And Charlotte keeps getting caught off because the moment she is in that and she doesn't have flicker, she's in trouble.
Yeah, and it seems like they were somewhat all over the place as well. They were trying to catch off the kill graph, and then once the kill graph runs away, they leave Alice out in the open sometimes, and eventually she just gets caught out. So we're going to go into game 3 in a moment, but we have to look into the replays of game 2.
I think just here, just the way they played that was just absolutely so well done. Mummy just so overall, just really methodical the way they played. The rotations were clean. Everything that they wanted to do happened very nicely. They acted very fast when they saw somebody out of position. You can see here just Lombard making sure that Charlotte just cannot get out of that position. And he kind of secures them into place.
Yes, definitely. And also, I gotta applaud onto some of these EU members here. They were really meticulous onto picking some of these fights, because once they see like, hey, Violet dives right in, try to catch someone out, and the moment that they soak a little bit too much damage, they just back away. That's discipline right there, because if one member gets caught out,
just look at this. Look at Hans. Single-handedly kill graph stuff. This is the prime example. Honestly, this is the prime example of kill graph stuff. Just goes in. Look, Hans just goes into the middle of them, activates his ultimate. He's not even taking any damage. Look at him chunking out half the tanks. It's just so good that the backline understood, oh, Hans is coming for me. We gotta get out of here. And just the tanks were left with Hans, and now Hans' damage is mitigated by so much.
It will be more interesting if Hans actually put focus over onto Grizzly instead of backing up and trying to meet up with Charlotte there, because she's going to fall up at the end of the day. But looking at how he can survive all these fights, it's just unfortunate that the rest of these members can't keep up with the tempo of what Europe has in store. So going back into this last match between Indonesia and Europe, it's a tie right now, sitting at 1 each.
Yeah,
so
sitting at 1 each.
I don't know. Look, game 1 was heavily sided over onto the side of Indonesia, and now this time Europe, you can see a somewhat more dominant performance in comparison to game 1. So game 3, it could just be anyone's favor as well.
Yeah, it absolutely could go into anybody's favor at this point. Now, Team Indonesia really need to, they need to buck up for this one. They gave a lot of disrespect in the second game. Hopefully, the third game, they actually start to look for the plays that they want to do. Or unless Team Indonesia, I was wrong about the disrespect, and they've only been just testing out the new team comps they want to play.
Perhaps so.
Perhaps so, but if they do want to win this upcoming match, they got to really buckle up and really think about what they're doing here. Because I think a major point, it was just the lack of communication on how each of their players played. Everybody had a different idea of what they were supposed to do. They had too many different avenues they can invest their money in. But I think the main reason is because Wukong did not make an impact in the early stages of the game. Wukong is so strong in the early stages of the game. He can push people off of their towers if he really wants to at level 2. And I think that's a big point that he should have made. Like, look to get level 2 quick, look to gank lane, quickly go start invading jungle off of that, and then continue on his rampage until he hits level 4. Because Wukong is a very early game oriented champion. He has a lot of damage associated to him, and he's able to really just maneuver around a lot of people once he hits level 4.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a major point, that Wukong was not played very efficiently.
I do agree with you there, because the early game they were playing slightly more
A
safe
very slow game. Yes.
Yeah, so that kind of given him a little bit of a restriction over there into getting that snowball that he needs. But if we go into the following game itself, we might just see a flashbang picked up once again for the side of Indonesia. As we move into picks and bans, we see Hero taking out that Omen once more. So that's gonna leave none other than Superman being banned out from the side of Indonesia, I guess.
I mean, considering how Indonesia has done their picks and bans, I wouldn't be surprised if they leave it to the very end, just to bring some hopes in the EU. But overall, I'm expecting
most likely, and looks like Violet will be leading the charge when it comes to picks and bans at the moment. So Wukong was a nuisance in the previous round, just pulling members left and right. Still, not sure if it's actually worthy of the ban, but this might just be a ban for them to try to force Indonesia to waste some certain bans on some party. So, I don't know. They hover around that quick nag there, but we saw a quick nag game when China went against North America, and they walk away with a win. So that can be considered as well, but Teamy is a bigger priority here. Of course, Be a Bro, who just gives you that free AG item, technically, for that revive that you need in all these big battles. There is just really game changing there. So
yeah, it's just a little too game changing.
Well, coming into second ban for Indonesia, they might consider Zaniel once again.
Yeah, Zaniel might be a really good option here. I'm expecting Indonesia. Final ban is going to be Superman, and from EU, they might want to hold up Zaniel for themselves.
Yeah, and looks like immediately they banned out that Wukong. So,
I mean, they're hovering over it. They haven't really secured themselves whether they really want to deal with whether they really want to deal with it. Why are they banning the Superman out when they can just leave it for Red Team to ban it?
Well, maybe they're just not that confident. So it's gonna be Zaniel. So that's a full list of bans coming in from the side of Europe. So,
but I mean, it's smart the way that EU drops is very methodical, really smart. I mean, you can see it in their play style. It's very like mastermind controlling, like they're playing chess. Very slow, very patient, really just looking for the right moments, and then when they fight, they can really fight here. But yeah, now Lubu is up on the table. They can easily pick it up. They've done it before in their first draft, and they can do it again.
Yes, definitely they can somewhat do just rinse and repeat some of these compositions that they have on the side of Europe, because it worked really well for them when it comes into all that big team fights at the Abyssal Dragon Pit. They excel best in this sort of situation, so they are highly discussing who should be the priority for the side of EU.
Absolutely, they could easily go for the move here, which I would like to see. Actually, overall, really good champion. Really good champion. Oh,
it's
which reminds me, Aram actually is still open.
I think that's the reason why they're like unsure of what to take right now. So it's like, okay, let's make it random and wait for a timer to go right out, and you're correct so far. Most of these predictions have been pretty accurate.
But now this gives a lot of options to Indonesia, because they can actually pick up Alice and Aram if they wanted to. Or
this might be a bait. Just to think about it, if you were to be on the side of EU, you won't exactly hover on that Aram for no reason. But then again, if Indonesia knows how to play her well, it can favor the side of the Garuda Eagles.
Yeah, I do feel like when it comes to Aram, it's very how the team perceives it, whether it's priority or not priority. And overall, it seems to be a 50-50, a good 50-50. Like, some people consider her S tier, some people consider her A tier. It's kind of like which becomes more important here. And it looks like Charlotte is definitely hovering over the Aram for themselves. But what are they going to pick up for their second option?
Second option here, they still have the Alice on the deck, but instead opting for that Wonder Woman, giving a lot of protection for, of course, the Aram there as much as she can soak up a little bit. Sometimes you just need someone to back you up, and Wonder Woman is a really good pick here because she can catch people with the lasso of truth. If they're low enough, you will be able to pull the enemies towards you instead of pulling yourself towards the enemy. So that's going to be a really huge deal coming in from the side of Indonesia, coming in with somewhat of a pick comp. And we do see Zephyrus once more over on the hands of Violet right now. He did exceptionally well over onto game 2. Alice pick coming in. I think Alice is a really good somewhat of a counter towards Arrow because once she opens up that silence, it kind of negates some of these effects that they do channel over on the side of Indonesia.
I think at this point in time, some of the best options, they might want to even consider either Treknar or Lombard just to slow down the assault of Lubu and Zephyrus. Because Lubu and Zephyrus, their main idea is to get to the back, is to be so powerful to actually puncture through the front line to get to the back line. But if you have people to slowly peel for your own backline while slowing their backline at the same time, this actually defeats the purpose of what they want to do. And I think that's going to be a big part. That would be a big part if they were to pick out a Lombard or even a Chakra for themselves. Hopefully they don't. Oh, yeah, it's going to be an Ormar and a Violet. Personally, don't enjoy the Ormar pick, but I think they just need them to actually go head-to-head against both Zephyrus and Lubu to buy time for the rest of the backline.
Well, when we see Violet over on the hands of ID, you can see that EU responds with the Joker pick. Another marksman that has a really good range and burst as well, but looks like they will steal the flash away from the hands of Ahmad if they actually lock in this one. So 2 DC heroes at a go. So
I think honestly this is actually a really good pick because once you have the flash, you've secured yourself at least, if you're able to catch out the backline, to at least secure yourself one of the kills, even if Ormar is there, mainly because of the vacuum, and you have Zephyrus in the back to actually wombo combo to secure a free kill. So I think that's going to be a big part of it here. However, this would be rather interesting to see.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. And you just look at this mobility comp coming in from the side of Europe, and this is just gonna be interesting because once they commit, they can't really come out immediately. So everyone needs to put their 100% when they go into the team fight. But coming in from Indonesia, will they actually pick something that's pretty disruptive, or will they go in for a little bit more damage because they already have the Omar on their hands alongside with Wonder Woman as well as Aram there over on that first pick. So perhaps a little bit more damage would help. I'm not too sure
Honestly,
right now.
it's very difficult. Your objective is to try to protect your backline from these huge threats. Huge threats like both Flash and Zephyrus and Lubu as well. That's not easy to do.
Well, I'm not sure about the Tulin pick here, but he does have a little bit of a safety with the second skill where he could like just dash away for that little bit. But if he gets caught out, it's gonna spell trouble for the side of Indonesia because they're somewhat squishy towards the early stages of the game. But if they can somewhat get a little bit more resources funneled over on that Tulin, we do see time and time again, when they get that small lead, it can snowball into a legendary kill.
I do feel it's kind of on Aram to actually push the backline to buy time for her team, for the side of Indonesia to actually kill everybody who's trying to dive the backline, like both Flash and also Zephyrus as well. Get rid of those two, and then you pretty much win the team fight. And Wonder Woman here is going to be important because her ultimate is going to be huge. If she is able to position herself properly, she'll be able to get the shield and also get a stun off really well. Violet, Tulin, both super mobile, no issue there. Charlotte's job just to protect that backline. Use the gut punch to slowly buy time. While Europe, on the other hand, they're going to try and use Alice as a way, use Alice to completely negate all of that. So I think it comes down to execution. Both teams know exactly what they want to do, who needs to get ahead, but it comes down to that final execution that will settle it all.
Yes, definitely. And of course, Europe has a couple of options as well when they have such high mobility heroes over on their hands, because they can still do a little bit of split pushing. And in comparison to Indonesia, I really think that they do have superior pushing power as compared to ID. So we're going into the final game in this best of 3 between Europe and Indonesia. And if you guys support either teams, make sure you hashtag EU win or ID win. And looks like there's a little bit of rotation going in as they will try to take away the mic buff coming in from their enemy territory. So that's an exchange of buffs coming in, and may just be Tulin getting caught out there by the rest of the members of ID.
And now what they already, they've taken away, oh wait, actually there's not too much of a punish from the side of...
I'm quite surprised actually.
ID actually, yeah, I would have expected him to finish off the rest of his jungle, but it decides that he does not. Rather interesting to see here. They, you definitely punish a little bit harder here when it comes to punching the jungle here. We're seeing interesting kinds of tactics, being able to roll behind technical roll behind the jungle camp to get both the blue and also the spider camps.
And you can see Simio right now just running for her life as Charlotte dives right in on that Omar there. So Charlotte dishing out quite a significant amount on that support. Now Shirko goes right in, dashes right back over on the turret range. Violet just trying to run away for his life. The Zephyrs can't really do much on these early levels, but looks like Indonesia will have a little bit of control right now, as it's going to be the first dragon being spawned up in about 15 seconds. Over on top lane is pretty interesting as well, because Wonder Woman against Max, technically they'll be able to sustain each other for quite some time, but looks like the rotations are beautiful coming in from Indonesia, trying to focus down the first turret. But Momoy, alongside with Ahmad, all gets knocked up over on that turret range. Momoy does survive with that severe health, but Mach Punch will ensure the first blood goes over on the side of EU. Charlotte is the next one on the chopping block as Jericho gets a double kill.
Oh, that's going to be a real great, easy double kill from the side of EU. They were just so caught out of position. They were chunked out so well. And then Shirko, out of nowhere, comes through to finish them off. Just really well done there.
That's what you get for overextending. Just trying their luck, trying to get that first hurt over a bottom lane. But EU says, not that easy, bro. They just come right in with 4 members committing into that fight. And there's just no holding back. They get 2 kills now. And it's going to be really difficult for Ahmad with a really fed Shirko in the mid lane. And it's payback time because he did the same thing with the Flash on match 1.
Yeah, that's true. Just getting one shot. A big part of being the Flash is one-shotting people with no problems whatsoever.
It's like, hey, I'm just going to harass you all I want, and you won't be able to touch me at all. The fastest man on them.
True. This basically there's not much counterplay to it. Not a lot, but there is ways to really punish him if he does try to do something.
Well, unless if you have a ton of stuns ready once he commits all in, and looks like they do get the Spirit Sentinel over onto the hands of ID right now. So it's going to be really interesting because Momoy will try to sustain her best over a bot lane with the arrow, but the rotations from ID putting a lot of pressure onto Grizzly. I'm not too sure if this is a wise move, as Alice jumps right in from the back, giving a little bit of support, trying to keep her alive, but looks like Hans will be able to shut down that Max over on the top lane. So the respawn timer is relatively low, 10 seconds, but there isn't really much that they can do as of now. ID now trying to focus over on the top lane with 3 members. Violet over onto the turret here, but they won't be able to do much as there is 4 members just securing that first turret over onto the hands of Indonesia.
And Indonesia just evening out the gold differentials that they had before. It used to be so much, it used to be so much bigger. Now it's even out towards 9.5 to 8.18. So it's a good 0.7. Still pretty even, still pretty good here. But you definitely have a slight advantage here in terms of levels.
Definitely, and I think that it really factors to that first team fight that they get that brings them that huge lead. But now they want to try to get this Abyssal Dragon here on the side of Indonesia. You will contest for this as well. Oh, looks like Simjo is all the way in to the front line here. Shirko with that Mach Punch over onto Ahmad. Cyclone comes right out as Ahmad being brought down really low. Beautiful lift up there going over onto Wira as Rez gets over onto that. Oma diving way too deep. Can Wira actually survive that and turn that one around? Grizzly brought down to 10% health as Mumoy gets charged down by Violet as well as Raze. And looks like this is just going to be a 1-for-nothing trade going over on the hands of EU. Really close call there as Valor overextends, trying to get that stage buff there over onto his own hands, but he won't be able to do much at all as there is a Wonder Woman split pushing over on the top lane.
I think this is kind of honestly, that entire fight was very interesting. Indonesia were were in a superior position, but they didn't decide to pull the trigger. They started to pull backwards, and then they weren't expecting EU to actually push for them and actually run them down, because Mummy was just way out of position. He was in prime position to go in, and then they decided to disengage. He walks back slightly, and then it's too late. He cannot catch up to the rest of the team, and he comes back one full step behind.
Oh, that's a beautiful snare coming in from Momoy, but they will shut her down with that. Charlotte getting a kill over onto Lubu as well. Shirko going in for Wira instead as this fight splits up into two. And Shirko getting caught out right there, but he will get a kill over onto that squishy Violet. And will they actually take down the Charlotte as well? Because EU actually have what it takes to shut them off. They have 3 members against 2 really low targets there, but of course they are worried about Ahmed.
Absolutely, and Max just looking his way for a little bit, protect the mid lane. I don't think he really needs to do that just yet, because he's picking up a lot of quite a few minions to the top side of the map, but is getting trapped out with the C-Beam. Yubu quickly catches up, but the rest of Pan is kind of out of position as the rest of EU is going to slowly chunk him down with the amount of shields coming in. Is he able to pick up Sunjo? And yes, he does! Wait, he's still going on!
Oh my goodness, Wonder Woman just pulling off wonders out of nowhere, but Max still gets a kill over onto her. But my oh my, that's a really good trade, because she's like, oh, might as well get a kill out of this situation, you know.
Honestly, I wouldn't.
She could run off, actually, if you think about it.
I mean, she could have, but honestly, I wasn't expecting Alice to actually go down there at all.
I didn't expect that too.
I mean, she still has the talent available. I mean, Sunjo has the heal, so he could have done that, but I didn't think it was worth. He didn't feel like it was worth his time. He just allowed himself at that point. It's kind of hard to say. Or was he just not expecting the amount of damage coming out from Wonder Woman?
I think that he kind of underestimated the damage, like you said. So it was a little bit unfortunate, but then again, EU is still somewhat in the lead unless they get caught out right here. Charlotte getting a whole lot of damage chunked out over onto Violet Zephys as the Abyssal Dragon will dance a little bit over on that edge as we were still have that push being set up there alongside with Charlotte.
Wait, hold up. Wait, hold up. That was the longest stare off between Charlotte and Violet. They just stood there in the brush looking at each other, just, it's like, cool, this is happening. And they just both bailed.
Yeah, it's like, should we go in for the fight? I'll just wait for my team, all right? Like, let's see how things go then. Like, oh, they don't want it. Let's just back away. All right.
Cool, bro. Okay, bye.
After all, these are somewhat friendly battles at the end of the day, but it's just getting intense because we're drawn in this best of 3 right now, and whoever wins will, of course, have that bragging rights to their own respective countries. And Indonesia is a region that is fanatic when it comes into all of these MOBA series here, and AOV is definitely a big game in Indonesia.
Absolutely. We're, I think, now using her range of the tactical rolls to actually pick up these turrets without taking too much back into the maps. With his slight lead, he's just able to duel with anybody at this point. I don't think anybody can really stand up to Hans 101 at this point in time, as the rest of Indonesia slowly rotate around the map, get some side wave pressure, while EU once again clearing the mid wave and then rotating to match.
Oh, looks like Oman might be able to catch out someone right here. Hans still split pushing over in the top lane here. It's funny because, like, if Lubu were to deal one-on-one with Wonder Woman, do you think that he stands any chance onto shutting her down? I think that he does have a certain potential, but he hasn't really had that full item spike in that sense. But
I mean, the only reason why Wonder Woman actually stands a chance against Lubu is because she has her 2 kills and she has more gold in comparison to Lubu, who is a full 1k gold, 1.2k gold efficient.
Yeah,
just
to think of it,
whole item below.
I don't think that's any chance that he gets stand off because he's level 10 versus level 13, so...
Exactly, but I mean, like, once he gets his items and levels, then it becomes not so bad. Oh, Wonder Woman actually getting the engage and actually puts Sancho in. What a beautiful engage there by the side of Indonesia, and now they're going to try and disengage. Hans still not so afraid, but Grizzly into the back line, trying to push them off.
And Grizzly gets a kill over onto Wira at the back, shutting down that Violet as they go in for the rest of the members from Indonesia, but it looks like They do have a couple of members falling down over on the hands of ID as Shirko goes right back in, dealing a little bit of a back massage over onto Momoi. But it could have went over onto the favor of EU for that split second. And then to think about it, they kind of got a little bit messy over onto that jungle fight there, because we see Alice getting caught up out of nowhere, and eventually
get caught up himself, but just manages to get out, forced him to use the flicker.
Quick moves coming in, so this is gonna be another Abyssal Dragon, but of course, the Alice gotta be a little bit more careful. I'm kind of concerned there because a couple of times we see her getting unnecessarily caught off there, as much as it may be just a slight mistake, but if it becomes a running team, it's going to be heavily favored over onto the side of ID when it comes to team fights, because not having that ultimate, it's going to be really be a big setback for the side of EU.
Absolutely. Now both teams back to a resetted position. They are looking to try and go for the Dark Slayer at some point in time to actually win these team fights, to break this stalemate. Both teams at 2.8k, and they just really can't go anywhere unless they get a pick or set a trap somewhere. But it's kind of difficult because they are matching each other very, very well, allowing Max. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, Ahmad getting chunked down there. Shirko just doing what he can as the flash. But if we look into map control, looks like Indonesia has not lost a single turret thus far, as they try to hover over onto the mid lane as well. And Shirko just clears off the wave immediately. Well, when you're the Flash, you could travel back in time, removes all of these minions, and yeah, come back into the game. But look at that turret. I don't think it takes much to actually bring it down. You can even dive right in when there's no members from the side of EU guarding that over there, as Omar gets capped out there coming in, but Zephys might not commit to that sort of fight.
Absolutely. It's just so difficult to actually get any pressure whatsoever when you don't have the waves in sync.
Shirko going in for a little bit of quick over onto that teal in there. Didn't really get caught out. I was hoping that they can stun up that flash over there, but then if they go right in, it's gonna spell an initiation, and that's something that they're not looking forward to right now. But looks like they might be able to catch out that Wonder Woman. Beautiful shield coming in from Alice, as well as some good support coming in from Violet as well. They will try to take down the Wonder Woman. She's just soaking so much damage, but looks like Indonesia is backing away from this fight as Raz takes down that Wonder Woman. They're still not over yet, as Ahmad gets the shutdown over onto that support Alice. Looks like EU's falling really, really low this time around. They're chasing in, but they are separated into two different squads here, as Violet and Rez goes both ways, and one of them has to fall, and it's gonna be Charlotte. But here we go here. Oh,
wait,
oh!
no! You make it out with 3 people on the brink of death.
Oh.
On the brink of death, and Indonesia was trying to turn that around so hard. Momoy was in the perfect position. They got a fight. He was just trying to get it up, but he got kited out so well by EU that he wasn't able to pick up any of those kills for his team. And now it's going to be a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of EU.
Oh, that's just
that's
a little bit
so
unlucky.
sad.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, if you could just get that ace done, you could eventually just run it down, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, well, IDE decides to play it a little bit safe, and there is somewhat a distance for them to actually chase right in, and it's really not optimal as Tillen to dive over onto enemy's territories there. So, from the side of EU, they still have what it takes to come back into the game. They still have that small little goal lead. It's not much. It's just 500 gold over on their backs, but if they can just get a couple more pick off there, they do have a lot of
somebody's gonna get. Oh wait, no, they decided not to go for this one. Huh.
It looks like everyone's just running away from Wonder Woman.
I think they understood that Wonder Woman's way too tanky. This is just not worth our time.
Yeah, it takes way too long to just take out one member from inside of Indonesia. So Charlotte's just gonna do a little bit more split pushing for Indonesia, but looks like the Garuda have their eyes set over on the first Dark Slayer of the game, taking that down as we are secures that one for Indonesia.
Absolutely. I think they weren't expecting how quickly they were able to do that with 2 DPS and having the right tank all the damage of the Dark Slayer and then just completely decimate it while having two people split pushing at the same time.
Yeah, and they really have to worry about Violet as well as they scale late into the game, 15 minutes, as there is 16 kills, almost a kill per minute, I would say, but this game might just end if EU slips up right here. Charlotte goes in for a dive, and it looks like Simjo did top of the ultimate soon as they do rotate over on the top lane. They have super minions coming in, and they will push it over onto the top lane. And looks like they're not initiating any fights at all. High ground tower being broken down there, as well as another one over on the mid lane will be the priority for the side of Rira. Look at that damage, and Violet, that's just disgusting. She's got the range. She just take it down really quickly, the damage that she has. So that's two super minion waves coming in from top lane and mid lane. Will they actually be able to get this core right now? We will have to find out, as they will have to defend this with their lives. And Riz going over onto Ahmad, trying to chuck him down low. Grizzly as Max, he won't be able to do much, even if with the smooth moves, he won't want to dive into the middle of Indonesia, as Violet goes into the middle of it all.
He just misses.
That's unfortunate. He can't even do anything to actually get the death from above out to actually chunk them down. But then again, Indonesia just have to play it really slow. They have the Dark Slayer, and of course 2 minion waves shoving into the mid lane. All they have to do is take one more high ground turret, and the minions will consistently deploy and push the waves.
Absolutely, and hopefully they don't make the mistake that they did with the previous game between Thailand and Taipei, Chinese Taipei, because that was kind of the issue there, where they didn't decide to go for that high ground. Ooh, they're actually going in for the engage here. It's going to be a full-blown fight.
This is a big one coming in, as Rez is in the middle of a beautiful lift-off coming in to all of his members from the side of Europe as they team wipe the side of Indonesia with only one member falling, and that's going to be an ace. This is the turnaround that they really need, with the Wonder Woman being the last one standing, but she will be taking it down with the resurrection.
That was a crazy wombo combo. They had the flash vacuum people all together, and then Max, out of nowhere, flies straight and knocks into 4 of the members of Indonesia. He punishes them so hard right there off of one ultimate. Man, that was efficient.
That is just so beautifully done there by Europe. I didn't see that one coming at all. And when they called the shots, I was like, are you sure, EU? And
it was looking bad. I would agree. It was looking bad until that final ultimate, the double ultimate there.
That was a beautiful cyclone coming in from Shuriko as well. And Liftoff just going all the way back into catching Rira as well. So they just completely shut them down without any form of idea coming in from Indonesia on how to handle such an intense combo coming in from the side of EU. But Charlotte is pushing over on the bottom wave here. They are rushing it down mid as well, so they really have to worry, as Violet and Simjo getting caught out right there. They will be able to survive for now. Whereas just giving him a little bit of room to breathe. So there is the big waves coming in through the mid lane. Are they actually going in for this one? The flash goes right into the battle as they get the beautiful lasso over onto Shuriko. And this might be the decider here. If any one of these teams slip up, we saw what they did to the mid lane turret from the side of EU. One ace is what it takes for Europe to actually win the game.
Absolutely. That's all it takes right now, where both teams are already at 50k, which does indicate that some people are already building their final item in their build.
Yes, and everyone's just so geared up for all of these fights here, as everyone is somewhat hitting level 15, except for only one member. Not exactly. Everyone's 15 now, just to be exact. And it looks like the team fight may just break down. That's one last minute, so that will be a reset coming in. But Rez still have to deal with the top lane as well. Hans just in the middle of it all, just trying to get a little bit of a catch over on the side of Indonesia. They're waiting over on that super minion over on the mid lane. Charlotte trying to chuck down the health, trying to get any autos that she can do. But if she just overextends for a little tiny bit, Max may be able to catch out with the lift off. Violet jumps right into 3 members from the side of Indonesia. This could be the fight that they're looking for. Cyclone comes in, trying to catch out that Violet, and they will get that kill as Shirko goes legendary. They have to deal with Hans there. Beautiful shield coming in from the Wonder Woman with her ultimate, of course. But Grizzly will be able to escape with that slither of health as Max runs away. Violet still trying to survive right now as EU successfully defend the base for the 2nd time in a row.
It's literally just the Flash. Just the Flash and Violet together. It's just, how do you escape from that? Even when, no matter how hard you try, you'll just get sucked back in and just instantly die. It's just so difficult to deal with the Flash at this point of the game.
He's just a total annoyance coming in for the side of ID, but this is going to be a one-on-one from Res coming in, fighting
Res
Hans.
can actually finally fight Hans now that they're on equal footing.
Oh, they are diving in, but they will try to catch out Charles as well, and they will fight
this is such a bad
into
fight.
some of these
Wait a
here.
minute!
Oh, Mumbai comes in
off!
from the back as they get a kill over onto that Tulin as Mumbai can get caught out by himself. Is this the turning point that EU need to shut down ID from taking this game? As they have all these members, but are they actually backing away from this one? There's only 3 members alive from the side of ID. They can go in for this as Charles is trying to shut down that Max from backing away, but it won't reach in any favor of the side of Indonesia at the time being, as Charlotte gets caught up from the side. Will she be able to dash away? There's 4 members coming in. Oh, looks like they will take her down.
Oh man, in these clutch moments, EU is just so much better. Indonesia are not thinking straight here. They're just taking fights after fights that they shouldn't have. They should wait for everybody. They're forgetting that their DPS is not there at all.
I'm not too sure how they actually close out the game at this point because they have the Dark Slayer and they've just given out a couple of members. And the death timers are pretty high at the moment. Half a minute for Charlotte to come back online. So we just got to see what they have in store because they can't catch up with Flash. They can't take down any members other than Sinjo. The only take that they could do is to actually get that support first and then go for the rest of the members. Of course, Shirko is the main source of damage. 10 kills, 0 deaths in all of this fiesta right now.
Absolutely.
It's just crazy because nobody seems to have a clue onto how to deal with the Flash.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to if Indonesia kites backwards properly, and I think they always separate the teams in the front line and back line, where it shouldn't be the case, especially when you're up against the Flash. You should be spread out, but not so spread out to the point where your team can easily be broken apart, because you need to be in a relatively safe distance to actually take the game away. Because in this position, that way you can affect more people with a lot of your AoE, and I think that's where Talon actually excels at, as well as Mumi as well, who is looking for these opportunities to do so, to unleash the beast, and she can't.
And now you do see the high ground tower being crushed out there as this big fight will determine it all as Shirko gets a kill over onto the side of Indonesia with a legendary over on that Tulin. And they are looking for more as the next target will be Momoy from the side of Indonesia. But no members from each side is falling down as of yet. Shirko gets a double kill as he is still unstoppable right now. And this might just be game with the bottom lane high ground turret being taken down as well. There is the resurrection coming in, and that's going to be a beautiful turnaround coming in from the European squad here. And this has been concluded 2-1. Over on the side of EU.
And that must be so frustrating, especially for the Indonesian team, to actually have full control of the game until that last fight. One bad ace and a second bad ace, and finally EU take the game.
And EU just became so composed when it comes to all of these high ground turret fights. It's like they were just waiting for them to commit and just step a little bit further over on that bottom lane and initiate with the Cyclone coming in from Shirko. He's got to be the man of the match. If he doesn't get it, I don't know who else will get it.
Yeah, and I think when Indonesia was trying their best here, when they died to the first initial ace, the second one, when they were preparing for the second one, and actually they did get chunked out pretty hard there, they should have really considered what they wanted to do there. And I think the best option was to actually just hold back, wait for your DPS, which they completely forgot about. They all of a sudden threw away the chessboard and brought out checkers. All of a sudden, they were just playing so reactory when all they had to do was take their time, be patient, wait for your DPS to come back, and rinse and repeat. And I think they would have gotten it there.
I'm not too sure whether if it will work if Indonesia actually just crash into the base, because they have the core exposed for a really long time now, but they're just waiting out for the waves, and eventually we see the flash just go right in and then just clear off the mid lane waves as well as the top lane. Could they have just committed to some of these fights way earlier on just to shut down EU, and they have to pay the price for this one because they can't close out the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And it's just very difficult for Indonesia in general to actually try and close out this game considering the amount of wave clear that they have on the side of EU. Just what can you do against all that?
Yeah, and I gotta give credit to Simja once more. She still has the highest KP out of everyone there. And of course, other than her dishing out all this utility, none other than the Flash, he is the main damage source coming in from Europe to just secure some of these kills. Especially, they just have their eyes over on that Violet every single fight. So
yeah,
props to Shirko on that.
Definitely props to him because he racked up so many kills. And especially with the Wombo combo, it's just so difficult to get out of that.
Yeah, and even if Shirko doesn't get the kill, most likely Max would just fly all the way in. It's like, where is that Violet? We're gonna get the Violet. And it's just crazy. Let's just look into the madness when we go into the replays here and just look at it and go, this is possibly the second fight that they have, which kind of went on a stalemate for the time until ID just comes in swooping 3 members from the side of EU, and from then onwards it kind of looks pretty sour for them.
Absolutely, just the way they play this in general. This is a game one where ID definitely were in the driver's seat so long.
Yeah, and I believe this is like the second fight that they got, and they got Ahmad the double kill. And of course, when we look into all of these fights here in game one, they have a really huge deficit going around the side of EU, and they didn't know how to deal with all these early game aggression coming in from ID, and Shirko was a little tad too aggressive. Of course, Tulin, he got a couple of kills there, but eventually they didn't really find the way out. And going into game 2, it seems like a big revenge going around the side of EU.
Absolutely, and just difficult to deal with in general. But I absolutely love how this game played out. It wasn't a complete about who's better at mechanics. It was just all tactical and very smart. And I do respect that for both sides. I definitely feel like Indonesia, in terms of mechanics, are actually slightly superior here in terms of how they play the mechanics and efficiencies of their spells. But EU are just so much smarter when it comes to what they have very clear objectives of what they're trying to do when they're trying to do it, in comparison to Indonesia, where they're kind of committed to 2 half strategies at the same time.
Yes, and as much as Europe, they seem to fall behind at certain point of the game, they still know that they still have a chance coming in. They stick to their win conditions, and that's what kind of brought them forward into match number 3. So they also have this discipline where even if they're ahead, they won't fully commit to a fight unless they see the opportunity to do so. And this was game 3 that we just saw some of these epic fights.
He just, what can you do? And you have Grizzly like right behind him, just chasing him down. Just what can you do in that combo?
And I believe that the main man coming in from ID was Hans with the Wonder Woman, but she seems to be zoned out by herself on the side. And if she's far away from Violet, I don't think that it's really good on her, because you see Hans can really take a lot of hits. So if she could just be there and protect the Violet over on the side of Weirao, it might just work out for the side of ID. But unfortunately, this was the turning point where EU shuts down a couple of members from the side of ID and just crashed over onto the high ground. As you can see, they just fought toe-to-toe here, trying their best to defend, but unfortunately, at the end of it all, it's going to be Shirko raking up kills after kills after kills. So coming into AWC, we know who to look out for.
Absolutely, these teams are playing absolutely phenomenally, and I think they're getting. I think you have gotten a bit of a taste of what IQ is possibly able to do here. And looking at how these games are played, definitely a lot of people are taken aback and like, oh, oh, these guys know exactly what they're doing. This isn't like an unfair disadvantage or anything. Everybody's kind of on the same pace here with their own different sort of styles and different weaknesses and different strengths.
Yes, and definitely everyone's got this whole different ideology of how to play Arena of Valor, and there's no right or wrong way.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
so far, I think that there's just so many interesting ways to play, and you can see that Indonesia is a really, really strong macro mechanically skilled team here, because they know how to do split pushing so effectively. And remember the game with the kill graph where Hans just soaked in all this damage by himself going against 4 members. They can pull off some pretty interesting stuff every now and then, and still manage to fight pretty well. So of course, where we still have one more game in store for you guys back at home. So I'm just looking forward for that, as it's gonna be our very own Valorant server against another great team coming in from all these regions. So
we're going to be wrapping that up real quick. My name is Fatal Five-Way. This is going to be Contra. This is going to be come back real soon, because we're about tired. We're going to take a break. Hopefully you guys take a break too. Get a drink while you're at it. You're definitely going to need one of those for this final game, because it's going to be a hot one. We'll be right back.